A lot of people have mentioned during the live streams that they are struggling in King of the Ring, losing in the first round over and over. It's really sweaty right now, obviously trying to gather up all of those skull tokens. There's that Finn Balor. That is our latest King of the Ring win. But today in this video, I'm going to give you all my tips and tricks and basically a guide on what I do in King of the Ring in order for me to win. First thing I do want to mention though is that this is not a one size fits all. Nobody is going to have the exact same cards and nobody is going to be able to set up everything exactly the same. This event is also not something that you can win 100% of the time. I think the recent changes has also made it kind of a struggle, especially when it comes to charging. And I just also want to say, you know, I don't win 100% of the time either. I do go out in the first round, especially when I show you my deck. I'll show you why sometimes I do go out in the first round. I am still pretty successful though, but one of the things I do struggle with is charging. As you see right here, we lost the final championship game due to the fact that I was sleeping. I wasn't able to charge. My opponent did. He won. I do also want to say that this is not the only way to play the game. This is just what I do. This is what works for me. It's what has made me at least semi-successful in this event. And so that's just what I stick with. Another thing that I want to throw out, I do kind of rely on other people not playing the same strategy that I do. And by putting out this video, a lot of people might see it, change their strategy to what I do. And then therefore, when I go into these tournaments and stuff, I run into more people that play this same strategy and could actually lose more often. So there's kind of a couple things that's going against everybody. One, we need these skull tokens. So we have to be successful in here. And two, if a lot of people play this same strategy, you're going to go into these tournaments running into people with a very similar deck than you. So it's actually going to make my life harder that don't know about this sort of strategy. And it's going to make other people's lives harder. But I did tell y'all that I was going to do it and I'm here to help. And so that's why we're making this video. I also don't claim to be an expert by any means. This is just the strategy that I've used for so long that's worked so well for me. So it's just the one that I stick with. Let's look at the deck first and I'm going to give you the basic overall construction of the deck. And then I'm going to show you some things that you can do in order to change the tier or the rarity that you're actually in up here at the top. What I do is basically sandbag all of the tags. All three of these tags are going to be sandbagged with the lowest card in the game. The four singles, those are the ones that you're going to try to get the wins from. Of course, with the tags, it's not like you can't get a win because I have this speed manager. I have these two action supports. If the stat calls for one of those particular stats, I can honestly win it, but I'm not expecting to win. These four is what I'm expecting to win from. Now, I've tried this setup in pretty much every single rarity except the lowest possible. I mean, I've put in all the way to the top level cards in here, fully leveled up pros, 40 and 50,000 stats each. I've put in just regular level 0, you know, WrestleManias and Unhinged and cards like that. And it works pretty much the same. I just like the lower tiers more just because you come across more bots and it feels like it's just a tad bit easier to win. Now, as far as the manager and action supports, which ones do you select? I personally like the single stats just a little bit more, especially when it comes to the manager. The two stat managers, obviously the stats aren't as high, and the chances that you land on both of those stats is pretty slim. And so that's why I stick with the single stats. I just feel like they're better and I feel like I get more success from it. Now, as far as your card selections, which ones do you choose out of all of your cards? Well, I kind of try to balance it out. My speed is the manager that I use. So I try to pick cards that are kind of on the lower end of the speed and have higher power, toughness, possibly charisma. Now, as far as which rarity you're going to want to play in, that's going to be kind of dependent on what cards you have and I guess kind of what you're comfortable with. It's going to vary per person. It's not going to be the same for everybody. Everything you put into your deck is going to affect this rarity, whether or not it's a single, a pro, level 0, level 100. It's going to depend on whether or not you have equipments, momentums, even the action supports and managers, all of which determine which rarity you're going to be in for your deck. Now, just to show you how this can be affected, take a look at the rarity right now. It shows ink. Now we are going to take this level 0 Electra Lopez. We're just going to swap it out real quick with a level 105 Tiffany Stratton Event Card Pro. I put that in there. It increased my tier a full tier from ink to invasion. Now it's the same thing when you deal with equipments. We're still in ink tier. I'm going to go to this Undertaker. I'm going to add an equipment to it. We're going to put just a random Sol Ruka surfboard on there. And we're going to back out and boom, there you go. We're back up to invasion. Then you might say, well, can I put multiple equipments on cards? Well, yeah, I'm going to take this other one, this Bo Dallas. I'm going to put another equipment on that one and it just increased just a tiny bit. So how I had it set up, I put one single equipment on the Undertaker and it increased a full rarity. And then I put another equipment on it and it barely even moved a centimeter. So now I have equipments on all 4 of my singles and the invasion tier is still barely even moved up. So I could play with no equipments in ink tier, or I could play with all equipments in invasion tier. I also put all 4 of them on momentums and it still didn't increase to feral tier. There are cutoffs in total points, at least is from what I gather by doing all of this testing and stuff. Once you hit that threshold, you automatically flip over to the next tier. So you got to kind of manipulate your deck and try to find your highest amount of points you can put in there, highest amount of stats without going over to the next rarity. Now with some more adjustments, this was the best or the highest I was able to get without going into that feral tier. Now if I switch out any of these cards for just a little bit more, I am going to go into that next tier. So if I decided to play in invasion tier, this would be the deck that I would roll with. It is the highest stats possible. I put in as many equipments as I could, momentums, switched to the best cards I could, only for these 4 right here, and also added some new managers, or not managers, but new action supports to kind of try to increase my deck the best I possibly can without going into that next tier. So it's gonna take a little bit of adjustment on your part, figuring out what cards you have, which cards you can put in here, what level or what rarity you want to play in, and putting in the cards to get the highest possible stats without going into that next rarity. If you do go into that next rarity, well then put in other cards and try to boost your deck as much as possible in this particular format. Like I said, this is just the format that I use. Not everybody uses this, but this is the one that I use and this works the best for me. Now let's talk about the main drawback when using this strategy. Obviously, it's the amount of sandbags. All 3 tags are sandbags. And if you get all 3 tags in a game, you're probably going to lose. Now, does that happen? Yeah, it happens, but it's the risk you take with this particular setup. It does not happen enough to make me want to switch my deck up. Also talking about gameplay, these action supports, keep this in mind, is that these action supports don't always play at the appropriate time. And so you might get a, stat that calls for a toughness charisma, and the action support that's played is a microphone. It makes absolutely no sense, but there are plenty of times when you're looking at the results that you will see that certain action supports are played not even when that stat is called. So you got to keep that in mind, that sometimes that's going to happen and it's going to cause you to lose. There's also going to be times in which 0 action supports are played and your opponent gets both action supports and every single stat lands on his manager, which is super frustrating. You can have an entire game where not one time speed is called and not one time an action support is played. The store, is it a good idea to purchase any of these boosters or energies? I personally have never done it. Now, the stamina booster reduces stamina drain in King of the Ring. In the old way, I noticed that a lot of people that did this certainly had an advantage. Those were the ones that won most of the time. Whether or not it's still like that, I don't know, since we charge every single round. I have never used this, nor will I ever use this. This purchase energy, it's 250 for 10 energy. That just seems like a waste. You can just watch ads for 10 of them, 5 ads. Each ad gives you 2 energy. Now, granted, it does take away from your ads for the day, but there are other places to get energy from, and I just wouldn't purchase this either. Now, what is the best way to get energy, which I think is the main drawback in this game? It is an absolute pain in the ass keeping up with energy, how it's set up now. In the old way, where we used to have to recharge, we would get multiple energies in a round of 25 picks. We would go to the superstore, we would buy 25 picks, go back to the draft board and get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 energies in one set of picks. And now it's one every 12 picks regardless. And so it's a lot harder now to get energy and to keep up with it as opposed to the old ways. They certainly need to lower this. If this is how it's going to be and we have to recharge this, they need to lower this to like 6 or something, maybe even 5. But as far as best ways go, Wild is going to be your best way. It's the fastest way to get through it. You can go to the superstore, purchase draft picks, 25 of them, go to the draft board, but you only get 2 per 75 super coins. Just seems like a little bit of a waste. Now, how often do you want to recharge? Well, that's actually going to depend on your opponent. And a lot of times, like if I'm facing a bot deck, if you look at the deck and you see that it's a bot deck or can tell that it's a bot deck, then most of the time or pretty much every time that I face a bot deck, I'm only going to charge these 4 right here. But if you're facing somebody like a real person in which you think you could win the tags if they were fully charged, or if you had one of your action supports, then you might need to charge it every single game. I think another question is, do you need to recharge it to just max stats, or do you need to put in this extra one in which this little energy icon lights up on all of the cards? And that's honestly just going to depend on how much you're keeping track of it. This is like a safety net that it's going to recharge after however many games. It's just going to boost your energy back up. If you're keeping up with it, no, you don't need to do it. But if you think you might fall asleep, like I did last night, I fell asleep before my energy was going to refresh. So again, if you do this strategy, keep in mind that other people might see this video and they also might do this strategy, and it could actually make our life even more difficult, especially me and other people that already do this strategy, because now we're going to have more people that do it, which is kind of a good and bad thing to help the community, but it also hurts people like us to kind of give away this particular deck secret. It's not every deck secret, but it is at least this one, and it's one that I have found successful. So I think that's pretty much everything that I can think of. If you have a different strategy that you want to share with the community, let us know in the comments. If you have one that you don't want to share and you're laughing at us, then let me know that as well. But either way, I hope this helped you, even if it did hurt me, and I'm sorry for the other people that it also hurt, that you're going to get more competition with this very similar deck. I know that can be a pain in the ass, but like I said, I want to help the community as much as I can, or at least show them what I do, and it's your choice whether or not you want to use it or not. But either way, hit the thumbs up if it did help you or you did enjoy, and I guess I will see you in another King of the Ring. If you run into me in King of the Ring, be sure you let me know. I will see y'all next time, guys. Y'all take it easy. We're out. Peace.